911 emergency.
Hi, I need help.
Hello?
I need help.
Okay, where are you located? I'm sorry, ma'am, I can't hear you. Are you able to tell me where you're located?
No.
Are you at a...
553 Sheldon Avenue Southeast. Please hurry now.
Okay, I got Sheldon. What's the number?
553. Hurry, please hurry up.
553 Sheldon. Okay, can you tell me what's going on there?
Can you just hurry up, please? I'm gonna die. It's me. You're trying to kill me. You already killed my family. You need to hurry up, please.
Okay, ma'am, I'll start the police that way. Can you tell me what your name is?
Keyona.
On March 13, 2019, 911 call center operators received a distressing plea for assistance from a caller who only identified herself as Keyona. But the urgency in her voice somehow got lost in translation, and the police left after knocking on her door and getting no answer. Hours later they would receive another call from the same residence, where they would then discover the bodies of Charlotta Baber-Bay and Keyona Griffin inside. The murder of Keyona and the slaying of her aunt put in motion a chain of tragic events that ultimately ended in the deaths of two other individuals. Who would want these two women dead, and could police have saved Keyona's life if they stormed in the home when they arrived the first time? Welcome to Viral Crimes. Subscribe and hit the bell icon for more stories. This story takes us to Grand Rapids, Michigan. 47-year-old Charlotta Baber-Bay and her boyfriend Daryl Brown both lived together in their home at 553 Sheldon Avenue. Charlotta's niece, Keyona Griffin, who was 25 years old at the time, would sometimes pay them a visit. Charlotta was extremely close to her niece, and the two were considered best friends. Charlotta was known as a nice and compassionate lady who was always willing to provide assistance to those who needed it. She was very trusting and always saw the good in people. Those who knew Keyona described her as a vivacious, down-to-earth person who loved life and had high hopes for the future. Keyona and Charlotta had a special relationship, and Keyona made it a point to pay Charlotta a visit whenever she had the opportunity. However, Keyona was not particularly fond of Charlotta's boyfriend Daryl Demon Brown. Charlotta was on the shy side growing up, and she never really dated. Daryl was her first real boyfriend. She met him at the library. She was so in love with him that the family embraced him despite the fact that he had no employment and was a conspiracy theorist. On March 13, 2019, Keyona placed a call to the 911 operators in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
"911 emergency."
Hi, I need help.
Hello?
I need help.
Okay, where are you located? I'm sorry, ma'am, I can't hear you. Are you able to tell me where you're located? Are you at a...
553 Sheldon Avenue Southeast. Please hurry now.
Okay, I got Sheldon. What's the number?
553. Hurry, please hurry up.
553 Sheldon. Okay, can you tell me what's going on there?
Can you just hurry up, please? I'm gonna die. It's me. You're trying to kill me. You already killed my family. You need to hurry up, please.
Okay, ma'am, I'll start the police that way. Can you tell me what your name is?
Keyona.
Who's the person who's causing trouble there?
Please hurry up. Man, you about to kill me. Please hurry up.
Okay, I've got a call entered, so we're going to get the police started that way, all right?
Okay, thank you.
Can you tell me what room of the house you're in?
During the conversation, she was whispering and barely able to communicate with the operators due to fear she would be discovered in the place she was hiding. Keyona made a plea for assistance and said that he had killed her auntie and was about to kill her. But the police were able to track the call back to the residence on Sheldon Avenue and have a look around. 3 police officers arrived at 553 Sheldon Southeast and started inspecting the location 7 minutes and 41 seconds after Keyona's phone call was disconnected. They approach the front door and start to knock. Over the course of nearly a minute, one officer can be seen knocking 3 times in succession, but nobody opened the door. The police then requested from dispatch once again to attempt to get the caller back on the line, but dispatch was unsuccessful.
1870, can you try a call back? We're not getting any answer in the front door. That thing looks big. 1878, can you run license plate? Seems like it's empty.
You can see it. It looks like a little dining room or something there. It's empty. You can see it. It looks like a little dining room or something in there. It's empty.
This just goes around. There's nothing in the back here. Looks like there's a fence on the other side.
I heard Russ put in for that background
So did I.
spot. Just two people.
Yep.
Who was the other person?
Katie.
Police officers went around the home and knocked on the front door, but no one replied, so they concluded that everything was okay when no one came to the door. Sadly, things were not okay. Police would receive a second 911 call from the same residence hours later.
Keyona! 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 Keyona!
911 emergency.
Come to 553 Sheldon. My sister not moving.
What's the address?
553 Sheldon. There's blood everywhere. My sister is not moving.
Okay, stand on line. You said shirt?
Sheldon, 553
Sheldon.
Sheldon, Southeast. It's a yellow house. Please, hurry up.
553 Sheldon Avenue Southeast, so correct?
Yes, please.
You said she's not breathing.
I don't know. She's not moving. I'm holding her head, please.
Okay, alrighty. Stand on line with me. I do have fire unit and police on the way.
This call would be made by Keyona Griffin's brother. When police came, they found Keyona's brother in an upstairs bedroom, holding the lifeless body of his sister, who had been killed. In addition, the authorities discovered her aunt Charlotta dead in the next bedroom. Both victims had multiple gunshot wounds. Charlotta's boyfriend, Darrell Demon Brown, was unable to be located. The owner of the home, Charlotta's mother, Jacqueline Baber Bay, was at work during the killings. During the preliminary phase of the investigation, the police did not have a great deal of clues to go on, which made it very difficult for them to identify a possible suspect. The authorities canvassed the neighborhood surrounding the home for potential eyewitnesses. They interviewed members of the community, even conducted interviews with a few of Keyona and Shoretta's friends, but the majority of them were unable to understand why someone would wish to harm the two women. As the investigators found themselves back at the beginning of the investigation, they focused their attention to the original 911 call and carefully examined it. In it, Keyona said that a guy had just murdered her aunt and was preparing to do the same to her. Using this information as a lead, the investigators examined the personal connections of Keyona and Charlotta, only to find out that Charlotta's relationship with her boyfriend was a troubled one. During the course of the interviews, a number of Charlotta's friends and acquaintances brought up the fact that her boyfriend, who is 47 years old, never interacted with the rest of the family. The majority of Charlotta's relatives knew him by the name Jay, which the authorities quickly discovered to be a fictitious name. They discovered that Jay was actually Darrell Demon Brown, and his criminal record was fairly extensive. It included convictions for felony assault as well as domestic abuse. Records show that Darrell had physically assaulted his former girlfriend, which resulted in his being charged with a misdemeanor offense for domestic violence. Darrell's unexpected absence immediately after the killings of Keyona and Charlotta was seen as odd and made him a person of interest for authorities.
Now to breaking news in Grand Rapids, a suspicious death investigation, now a double homicide as Grand Rapids police continue to search for a suspect.
A man police say who lived with the victims. Their bodies found in a home on Sheldon. GRPD confirmed in just the last hour Darrell Brown lived with Charlotta Baber Bay and Keyona Griffin.
24-hour News 8's Lindsay McComel is outside of Grand Rapids Police Headquarters with a breaking turn in this investigation and the person of interest's checkered past. Lindsay.
Yeah, that's exactly right. A big turn in this, still named as a person of interest, but we do know that he was dating Baber Bay, and no one has heard from him since someone discovered the victims' bodies yesterday. We learned that they were shot to death, so they now are trying to urgently find Brown. We've also learned that he has a violent criminal history. In 2006, he was charged with assault. A year before that, in 2005, I uncovered a disturbing case with allegations that a former live-in girlfriend made in court. And I do want to warn you that the details of this case are disturbing. Now, that was in 2005. As I mentioned, his then girlfriend testified that he bound and beat her. The transcript shows the woman said that Brown tied her up with cords, kicked her in the face, gagged her so she could not scream, then urinated on her and doused her in lighter fluid, all while her 3 children and the child that she has with Brown were upstairs sleeping. Now, it was also at that time that she had said on the stand that she did not want to see him go to prison because she believed that he needed help. That case was a felony kidnapping case. She had testified during his preliminary hearing for that case. A judge had ruled there was enough evidence to have that case go to trial. However, he ended up in a plea agreement. He pleaded guilty to misdemeanor domestic violence in that case. We have not been able to tie together the other outcomes of his cases from 2006, but we also know from police that he has several aliases. So I asked Sergeant Kathy Williams about that.
That definitely makes the investigation more difficult. Not only are we searching all of our databases for someone, but we're having to search by 4, 5, 6, 7 names. And those are only the ones that we know about. If someone is frequently using aliases, there may be others out there that we don't even know about yet. So certainly that does make the investigation more difficult.
Law enforcement officers located the murder weapon in a back alley behind the home where Keyona and Charlotta were murdered. They found a box of ammunition with 8 rounds missing. They discovered a 9mm handgun in a plastic bag that matched rounds found at the crime scene. They were able to track the handgun back to the lady who had reported it missing. Surprisingly, the lady had dated Darrell in 2017, and the fact that the firearm had been reported stolen at that time suggests that Darrell was in possession of the firearm at the time of the crime. By the time the police had finished their investigation and learned about Darrell's extensive criminal background, they were certain that he was involved in the killings in some way. In the end, on February 16, 2020, the Kent County Prosecutor's Office filed an arrest warrant for Darrell and charged him with 2 counts of murder. Unfortunately, Darrell has not been seen or heard from since the 13th of March in 2019, and his whereabouts have not been discovered. Despite the fact that the authorities were able to track his movements using CCTV video immediately after the murder, he was spotted entering a children's museum in Grand Rapids. He allegedly told the workers that he knew someone there, and then he left. Darrell vanished after making a few more stops in Grand Rapids. During their investigation into Darrell Demon Brown, the police obtained information suggesting that he could be in the Columbus area of Ohio. They are even under the impression that he has fled the state of Michigan and is now getting assistance from members of his family or other friends. Authorities are offering a reward for any information that may lead to his arrest. They have warned the general public not to approach Darrell without exercising extreme caution, since they believe he may be armed. A year after the deaths of Charlotta Baber Bay and her niece Keyona Griffin, their families have been working hard to keep their memories alive in the minds of the general public and the law enforcement officials. The family believes the Grand Rapids Police Department dropped the ball.
Tonight, the 911 calls and police video that the family says show police did not do enough to save their relatives, even after one called for help.
Barton Dieters has our update tonight.
3 hours before police arrived at this home on March 13th, 2019, to find the bodies of 2 women inside, shot to death, they received a call from one of the victims saying someone was trying to kill her. Quote, "Can you hurry up, please? I'm gonna die. He's trying to kill me. He's already killed my..." The caller told the dispatcher.
She was like, "Please, please, come help me, please, please, 553 Sheldon, 553 Sheldon." That was her tone. And you could hear her clearly, just as I'm talking to you now.
The family believes Keyona was hiding in a bedroom after Charlotta was killed, and she was quietly trying to alert police. News 8 did get the recording of the call from dispatch to officers.
Suspicious condition. We have a female whispering on the line that somebody's trying to assault her.
My daughter didn't say someone's trying to assault me. No one's trying to beat me up. She said someone is trying to kill me.
Police do also get information from laptops in their patrol vehicles. And this is what happened when they showed up.
I'm trying to kill her.
3 officers stand at the door and knock repeatedly. After a few minutes of walking around the house, looking into windows, and calls made to the 911 caller, police leave.
Seems like it's empty.
What was so senseless about this and just a tragedy and injustice is to walk up just with no sense of urgency, no sense of importance. I mean, just took their time.
The family believes police should have broken the door down. They believe police should have at least gone all the way around the house and made sure they made contact with someone. The family also wonders what would have happened if police had searched the area for Darrell Demond Brown, the suspected killer who remains at large.
And then at 1 o'clock or so, you get another call
and the
to the same house.
And the same
and you
officers
come here, now
back.
you got to bring my family out in body bags because you didn't care at 10 o'clock.
They didn't take it serious because where we live at, who they thought we were. That didn't mean anything to them because if it did mean something to them, they would have handled it better, Baber Bay said. The police defended their actions on that fateful day.
Grand Rapids Police Sergeant John Witkowski explained what happened as a result of that call. He says officers tried to call back the 911 caller and sent officers to the home where they knocked on the doors and looked in the windows.
There was no indication of any foul play, no broken windows, no doors that were forced.
Police say there was no evidence that there was anything that happened in the house, so they left the scene and wrote up a report.
A few hours later, we found a homicide scene.
People are going to ask, how was that not enough to be probable cause to go into that house?
If someone's saying someone's trying to kill them, that is certainly a piece of information that is valuable, but we can't just make entry into a home with a simple statement. Certainly hindsight being 2020, absolutely we would have made entry all day long.
Witkowski says the department gets calls similar to this frequently that turn out to be nothing.
The simple statement, "he's trying to kill me," is not enough. We need something to corroborate that.
The family and police are asking anyone who has any information to come forward to bring the man suspected of killing the women to justice. Sadly, tragedy would strike this family again in July of 2020. Authorities responded to a call about a house fire around 9 a.m. Saturday, July 11th, at the 500 block of Sheldon Avenue. It was discovered that the house was the scene of a previous double homicide in which Keyona Griffin and Charlotta Baber Bay were killed. The two victims that died in the house fire were identified as 65-year-old Jacqueline Baber Bay and her 5-year-old grandson Amarian Cummings. It was determined that a memorial was being held at the house for Charlotta and Keyona, and a candle that was left burning started the fire. This family has faced an unbelievable amount of tragedy. To lose your loved ones to such a senseless act of violence and feeling like they could have been saved is beyond devastating. I hope the killer is caught soon and you get justice. My condolences to the friends and family of Keyona, Charlotta, Jacqueline, and Amarian. May you find some way to heal. Thanks for watching and I will see you in the next video.